today I'm here with one more series for how we can consciously capitalism and impact investment, unlocking sustainable trade and investment between Asia and Africa. I welcome everybody on behalf of Asian African Chamber of Commerce and Industries. Friends, let me tell you one thing. Today, the prominent speaker that we have among us is from Singapore. Her name is Dr. Azeeza Jalaludeen. She is the founder of Shine Go Global Business School, Business Synergy and Growth Management, with shareholder, investors and community partners across more than 20 cities in Asia, USA, Australia, Middle East, Mauritius, New Zealand, Germany, etc. She is an award-winning visionary business leader, conscious capitalism pioneer and alignment mentor. She is an honorary doctorate in global entrepreneurship ecosystem and she is specialized in business networking. She is co-instructor and global promoting partner of Accelerated Business Schools, that's US world's longest running experimental business school. She is a fellow of New England Impact Investment Initiative. She is a founder of woman-owned business Accelerator, company of Good Three Hearts, a recognition conferred by NVPC Singapore. It's a Singapore government initiative for all those who don't know. Dr. Azeeza Jalaludeen, with over 25 years of cross-sectoral experience spanning banking, tourism, transformation coaching, global business development and capital access, her work has been a catalyst to ignite transformation and inspired over more than 1 lakh lives from 20 plus countries. That's a real great achievement, ma'am. She has been shared stages with work with Silicon Valley investors, Stanford professors, humanitarians like Marilyn Williamson, Dr. Ivan Minzer, and Dame Dorio Cordavo, and the likes. Assalamu alaikum, ma'am. It's a great long profile, ma'am. I could only fetch something small, but this was the smallest I could fetch from Google. Welcome to you on the show, ma'am. Thank you so much for your coming. I would like to hear something from you as being a part of this webinar today. Please, ma'am.
So much, and a warm welcome to everybody who's tuning in. Really a wonderful time here everywhere in the world. So much of celebrations going on in Asia. So I'm delighted to share the festive mood with everyone, and grateful for the opportunity with the Asia African Chamber of Commerce and Industry to invite.
Thank you.
Special shout out to Advocate Jenny as well.
Thank you. So let's start without wasting time because time is the essence. I would not like my audience to be waiting. As you all know, this webinar that is being going today will be posted again on ACCI YouTube channel. So all the viewers across the globe who in case by any chance have missed viewing this live can always go back to the ACCI YouTube channel and watch that. Now we are fighting with supreme top questions to Dr. Azeeza, so that we can have our guidance on the same. So the first question goes, how do you define conscious capitalism and what is relevance in today's Asia-Africa trade landscape specifically?
Yes, this word conscious capitalism is a mouthful. And when we started speaking about conscious capitalism, if you Google it back then, there's only one book that's been written on it by the Whole Food owner. And he has been lashed a few times for the kind of judgment that he had about conscious capitalism. So I have to say this. I want to give you our definition, how Shine Go Global defines as an impact investment community, defines conscious capitalism. That's a fair deal for us because we don't want to make it an absolute because there's so much of intricacy and so much of dynamics to this. And it's a journey. So I want everybody, if you are watching this, even live or recording, grab a pen and paper because you're going to have an expanded reality around the importance or even the relevance of conscious capitalism in today's world. First of all, there's two words in here. One is conscious the other one is capitalism. It's oxymoron because many people don't see it together. Either you
Correct.
are this impact driven,
Mm.
passionate entrepreneur, very much known sometimes as social entrepreneurs, and then there's the capital people. Our Indian movies have this thing about corporates. They are supposed to be out there to kill people and all of that. So this is where the dynamic shifts, where in
Mhm.
the COVID time, especially we saw the shifting happens because those were the days. There's three parts to the way the world has evolved, from industrial age to information age. Right now we are in the consciousness age, and COVID saw a huge shift in the way people show up. And a lot of people, I jokingly said, even in India, because we work with the stock market people and everything, we saw people drop from their head to their heart. Some level of consciousness started creeping into people in a good way. And so, in that dynamics, we have recognized that and affirmed that we are now in the consciousness age. So, consciousness is really becoming aware. You have the whole metric of this importance of giving given to stakeholders who are not just your shareholders, but also your customers and your
Perfect.
clients and the ecosystem that you build around it. So, consciousness is now the in thing, if I were to say that. But how, when you bring it into business, and many people find it a struggle, right? So we're going to have a lot of questions answered, I know, but in a short form, consciousness is a conscious capitalism. It's all about doing good, making money exponentially in the capital space. How about that?
Well, I love the second part. Making money is good.
Yeah. Yes, at least, it's interesting, Mr. Puri, actually, because people will go for either one.
Mm.
Either they want to do good or they want to make money.
Correct.
How about having both together? And that's the dynamics and the ecosystem that we are building. And you know what? You mentioned about the world's longest running business school. We are mentored by the business school. We are not just an education platform, we are a community. So I will when in our programs, we are not just educating people. Like everyone sitting here, you are an expert in your industry,
Correct.
right? So if you're an expert in your industry, what is there for us to teach you? There are blind spots, however, in the world that if you notice your business growth somewhere, a little tweak will make it bloom. It could be in your different spaces of your business. So in Asia, it's a big thing right now because that's where the dynamic is for conscious capitalism. So doing good, making money exponentially, that's the word.
Thank you so much on that. The second question is, how can business balance profitability with purpose when expanding, especially into the emerging markets like Asia and Africa?
So the world is about Asia and Africa right now.
Correct.
It's when we started the journey in this space, me and my late husband, we talked about uh Asia to the world and world to Asia. That was in 2006, around there,
Oh,
so when we
wow.
talked, oh, that's about, yeah, that's about 20 years right now. So we really focused a lot on entrepreneurs understanding the relevance of making money doing good. That's where we're coming in. So when we talk about driving with purpose, if you know, Asia and Africa is known for doing a lot of social enterprises. You can count the number of businesses that social enterprise and non-profit driven. But
Mhm.
however, everybody is when they go that route, what happens to them? They are in a poor me, save me, and in a less dignified human sense. Do you relate to that?
I do
Yeah.
understand.
So that does not, it need not be that way. That's what we're saying. By the way, we are one of the pioneers even in Singapore to lead social entrepreneurship education back in 2008. The government engaged us to do social entrepreneurship training for nonprofits. From then onwards, people have been starting to talk about how this growth of doing good can work in nonprofit, but it still remains as a nonprofit. The word itself is taboo because if you want to be a successful nonprofit, you must be
Correct.
profitable.
Of course. Agree
So,
with you.
so this is where we are at the right place at the right time in Asia and Africa, because
Mhm.
now with this kind of knowledge coming to the world, you see that a lot of businesses need to start thinking about your business impact that you are making, and especially if you are those that are raising funds, be it non-profit or otherwise. You need to be the entrepreneur that have value to give, right? Then that value needs to be shown to the people that you are working with, be it your clients or your people. Like what I said, we are in the consciousness age. So what happens is people want to hear you. They want to know you. They want to know your mission. They want to know how you drive it. Like AACCI has been driven by the momentum that you pick up and want to bridge the world and connect people. And there is a
Right.
mission around it. And that's why I keep getting drawn to it. Remember when I first
Of
met you
course.
all in Thailand and all of that. So it's
Yes.
very important at this time that Asia and Africa starts already looking at it because it's happening sprinkled around the world, around Asia, but it's really powerful right now.
Sounds interesting because it was very nice meeting you in the Thailand event. It was very nice listening to your thoughts. The way you are trying to, identify things. It's like, somewhere there's an old saying: successful people don't do different things; they do things differently. So it goes very parallel to that, and it's really amazing. The third thing which I wanted to ask is, what are the biggest gaps that you see in structuring capital pathways between Asia and Africa, especially for SMEs? I mean, like the growing enterprises, which are the backbone of any country's economy, as we always say. So, what gaps do you actually identify? What do you think are those gaps?
It's Thank you so much for that question because when I'm listening to you, it's like it's not about Asia or Africa. It's a global phenomena. And entrepreneurship has a gap after a certain level. There is the startup situations where startups experience gaps in their business. The whole dynamic is different when it's more experienced, growth stage businesses. And then there is those that are listed and going into the capital market, those in that space. The gaps are very different for every stages. It's not about the countries or the places that we come from. At the same time, somehow the world has been growing in such a way. Even in Asia, there is Singapore, which is like really fast for fast track, completely different. Then we have Dubai, and then the Middle East, the UAE market, and then we have the other countries that are coming up, and of course we have the giants like India, China, Indonesia growing in at this moment. If you notice, Africa has been growing quietly inside, and
Yes.
it has been, really making noise, and some sound is coming out. What's unfortunately the situation? It's like a very capped by human emotions. So, and it's actually not just in Africa, it's actually in Asia, I would dare to say that. That's why we relate to it so much. And
Okay.
because the first time I ever heard of business in Africa was with our China counterpart when I did a business development for a company in China, 2003. I visited them, and there was this whole group of African entrepreneurs come there. So it was already, and this company that I was working with is a top 10 company in the healthcare industry, and they were already making waves in Africa. When I met the Zambia Tourism Board and I was looking
Uh-huh.
at all the listed companies, I was telling them, so let's look at your listed companies. Because when you go to countries where the confidence level is not high, for investments to go in, you need to go with the companies that is in the listed space. So there's some level of governance, some level of stability. That's exactly how we approach the stock markets in India. And when I met the Zambia team, it was very interesting. It's very close to India's heart because when they showed me the list of companies that are listed on the Zambia board, you know what is one of the companies?
What?
Guess.
Now, I would like to understand, please.
It is our Taj Group Hotel.
Wow. Amazing.
So
Amazing.
imagine there are quiet movements happening in I mean, how many of you actually know about Zambia or ever think about doing business in Zambia? But they already have a listed hotel has been listed in their stock market already. So
Right.
this is where the world is shifting, and that's giving us hope that the gap, when it comes to the gap, is the gap of the heart and the mind, and the clarity that we need to come to, that the opportunity is there. Do you want to benefit from it? So when we are able to show this gap, and that's exactly the work that we have been doing all these years, and gives us so much of joy and pleasure when we see entrepreneurs pop. When they pop, it's like, it's like that's the thing that I needed to have for me to take my business to the next level. So that is definitely the clarity that is the biggest gap in entrepreneurs when they're going into new markets, getting into new initiatives as well. So definitely, that's where we are looking at.
No, it makes sense because I was just while I was listening to you, I was just trying to connect, right? So even during the past so many visits, say for example, I've been traveling to Africa from last 15 years now, along with my chairman, Dr. Jidhi Singh. So, but there's a vast variation that you see, which is coming up. Especially when you talk about Africa, yes, it's a silent growth. People are they do not make much noise, but yes, they are growing very strong internally. So as you correctly said, yes, the growth is there. You only need to identify, and again, I believe the gaps may be varying on continents or countries to countries because everybody's situation is different. But yes, I've heard you not speaking on SDG goals. So then, one question I would like you, I like to ask you on that. When you speak about connecting, the SDGs with internal development goals, how can trade institutions and chambers practically align business growth with sustainable development goals? How exactly you think this alignment works?
So, first of all, we need to understand that they have declared that the SDG goals cannot be met, right? And because of based on the timeline they have set, and they have identified that the inner development goals needs to be identified. And that's where, if you Google inner development goals, you get to see that these inner development goals form the foundation
Mm-hmm.
to getting ourselves aligned and grow out to the world. That's where the gap is. And if you look at the inner development goals, it's basically, in a layman term, people call it soft skills, but it's really the
Yes.
skill of the heart, the clarity, again, the alignment, where you are heading, your conviction, your conversation skills, all of that come into place when you grow it. So as a trade organization, as an institution, when we are getting to our members and our organizations to reach the world, right, as our passion for these people, we want to get them to be aligned to the inner development goal too. It's not about just going as a group to meet people and just connect. And I've seen AACCI do a very good job on that, because you
Thank
really
you.
handhold people. You make sure that whatever that they are doing gets recognized, and they are given the right information, and you make it a point that they see results, which is really a
Correct.
miss in many organizations. And I stand with that, because just a couple of days ago, early this week, I actually
Mhm.
was talking to an organization that travels to Middle East very often from Singapore. And
Okay.
even ourselves as an organization, we are a for-profit walking our IPO journey, right? So we are not a
Yes.
non-profit, just a
Just
VC
like
or a
us.
consultant, right? So we ourselves walk our journey. So when we meet them, we have this same thing about going for these trips, but they don't know how to materialize them, because they don't have the inner development clarity of themselves. And where, you keep hearing me, those of you, is like, she keeps saying clarity, she keeps saying alignment. Everything in life is clarity and alignment. When we get to that, we really can create magic. So I feel these kind of trade associations and institutions must be responsible enough to get into the hearts and the minds of the entrepreneurs, to really support them, because people coming to these association and chambers are not newbies. Generally, they are people who've been there, done that. They have decades of experience making hundreds of millions of dollars. So this is something very, very important for us to get them to the right track.
Correct. It's more of value addition than just hand holding. So that's what we have been doing at AACCI. That has been the vision of our founder and chairman, Dr. Jidhi Singh, supported by our Secretary General, Dr. Neetu Singh as well. So whenever we are in the board meetings, this is the first thing that they always put up as we should always be adding value to our members and see what best can be done. So I very well connect again on that. But yes, I would like to ask you, from your experience for building, global ecosystems, what are the key pillars to create a thriving cross-border business ecosystem as per you specifically? I would like to, because your vast experience in this area, you have been working like, my God, like you are like an encyclopedia, right, across the globe. So here, I can't stop asking you this: that what actually you think are the pillars from your experience? What do you believe?
So, first and foremost, this our Go Global's mission in our impact community is about creating a like-minded community. And the
Okay.
pillars are in our core values that we hold in terms of the way that we actually have rules of the game, like business ethics that we actually plan out. So first pillar is have a clear rules of the game. You need to know
Okay.
the do's and don'ts of a country, an organization, or people that you are meeting. You want to come into that space of under. So when you say rules of the game, it's really values that you stand for and how others can relate to you. So first level is the pillar of values that I feel is
Yes.
very, very important. You need to know your pillars, your boundaries. Like, when I go out, I can give you an example. I dress like this, and I know you all know that I don't shake hands. So
Of
I
course.
have my very favorite namaste for everyone. And at the same time, it was COVID too. Everybody was namaste. Then after that, they started shaking hands. But when you see, so these are small boundaries that some people have. And it's not like everybody dressed like that will do that. So you want to be able to have to know your boundaries and set your boundaries with each other. That's the first thing when you build a community. The second one is mutual trust. Mutual trust. That means while coming with the boundaries of the values, you also want to have mutual trust and value each other's. So you can only create trust and value when you know each other's directions and what is their mission and how they want to grow. So the understanding of the values is one, and I'm going to say that again. So first is the rules of the game. The second one may sound like that, but it's not that. It's really mutually the whole
Correct.
community having this value for each other and the trust for each other. And that is the biggest challenge many organizations feel. And I can talk that in when if time permits later on how this trust factor is how we become the glue for overcoming this trust factor of countries coming together. That's the first
Hmm.
thing. And the one more pillar that I feel is very, very important is our own uh, ecosystem that we are having. So every country or everywhere you go, they have communities.
Yes, of
So
course.
you now is the time for communities to come together, for people of different communities to come together and work together. So if you are one of the way to build ecosystem is to look at ecosystems and see where each others are having a gap and fill in that gap for each other. I reached out to AACCI because we are very excited about the Africa market and what it's doing, and you all are pioneers in doing that. And that's where we saw that the gap can be filled. So ecosystems coming together is a very important pillar right now for people to work together as well.
Thank you for that compliment. Yes, God has been kind. We have been working hard day and night. It was my chairman's vision to create ACCI, and yes, with supports with all like-minded professionals like you. Today, where we stand, we are blessed to say, we are very happy to say that we have always been awarded as the fastest growing global chamber. And last year, yes, we have been doing amazing. We have just issued our trade economics and support levels that we did. We were happy to see somewhere like 37.5 million business was supported by ACCI. So that's a remarkable figure. This year we are trying to work still more harder, supporting our members across the globe. So inshallah, it will happen very soon. But again, one thing always comes in my mind whenever I travel either Asia or Africa or anywhere else. I'm like, what exactly, as per you, look, time is changing. It's all a circle. So now businesses are not like, it's a man's world, correct? What role do women entrepreneurs and women-led enterprises play in shaping the next era of sustainable trade corridors? One of them is just in front of me, but like still, what do you think? How it is taking shape?
So actually, one of our mentors from Germany has created a giga trend, 20 giga trend. And one of the
Okay.
giga trend, so it's about the trends of the world, right? What's coming up. And
Yes.
not because I'm a woman, but he's saying that for the next 1,000 years, it's going to be women leading the
Oh,
whole
okay.
ecosystem. So you can see some very interesting dynamics happening in the world. And I would rather say, more than women, I would say feminine energy, people, men who are more in their women dynamics. Don't get me wrong, I'm talking about women, men with their heart, like more into their
I
heart.
understand.
Because
I
women are
understand.
nurturers. So if you are a nurturer, I give example of my dearest mentor from Mahindra Group, Ramesh Ayarji. First, when I met him online, I was just watching him on interview, and then later I got a chance to speak to him. You'll realize he holds a very soulful, gentle energy, but he's the leader. How he
Of
grew, he
course.
told me how he grew from a one table to $1 billion business and Mahindra Finance into global market, you know. So that kind of energy is not that gung ho, I want to kill you. No, it's not like that.
Not
So
needed.
it's feminine energy that is leading the space. And yes, women entrepreneurship, that is still, there's room for growth. And it is time for women to say, yes, I can play a role. I can be part of the journey. It's about women to take ownership right now. And that's why our Daily Wealth Accelerator, which is a women-owned accelerator, is focused on supporting women getting into, the next level of growth in their life as well. So definitely, women leadership is on track, and women are stepping up, and women need to step up, or the space is provided by wonderful men like you and everyone else, in the world right now, saying yes, let's do this together, because it's always Shivan Shakti, the feminine and masculine energy must come together to create any results. And I have to say this because a lot of men use women names in their companies, be it their wives and or their,
Yes.
in the stock market you need a female director. These are all the status given, but are they using it? That's the question. I mean, are they, voicing out? So women need to have some more expansion in their space, and that's where we need to allow it to happen. Yeah.
Well, I mean, who would know better than me because I have a live example straight away. Dr. Neetu Singh, the wife of Dr. Jit Singh, our founder, she is the managing director of the whole group. She has always been an inspiring leader for all of us. And today, whatever you see is just because of her blessings and her guidance. So, yes, the best part I loved in your statement was it is the feminine in a male. So it's not about being harsh, it's about having a feel within to understand things better and reciprocate, right? I could also recollect a name which is very parallel to this, that is, as you just earlier mentioned, Tata. So Ratan Tata ji, also I would love to see him on that level. I mean, the love for even street dogs has brought him to that level. Correct? A gentleman who did not go to receive the most prestigious award from the Prince and the King of England just because his dog was not well. I mean, that needs a very soft, so soft, pure heart. So, yes, I'm sure great leaders are born with soft hearts. This statement I should engrave.
Yeah, and so who says that somebody with a soft heart cannot lead the world or cannot grow the business? Who says that? It's an
No,
illusion, actually.
100%. Okay. Just before a question, you were talking more about trust. So I would like to ask one more thing. We all talk about building trust, right? But one of the biggest barrier in cross-border trade is trust and risk mitigation. Now, how does conscious capitalism help in building long-term trusted partnership? So how does this come into action?
So if you understand the core of conscious capitalism is built on trust, it's built on humanity. So
Okay.
if you are not able to go into conscious capitalism, or rather, if you are into conscious capitalism, you
Hmm.
are already in the space of a trust building journey. So
Okay.
it is, and again, because conscious capitalism is a journey, it can be go into a lot of judgments. Like people say, okay, for example, you say you must be a conscious leader. So does that mean you're a perfect person? That everything will be perfect? Not necessary, right? Everybody goes through
Yeah.
their learning experiences. So this is where you want to go into a journey of almost getting yourself into an alignment of your values and your what I call what's that word? So it's your clarity in terms of how you see yourself as a human being, and you reflect for yourself as a business owner, and you
Mhm.
stand for yourself for leadership, right? So
Right.
as a
Right.
business leader in conscious capitalism, you are leading a movement that says, oh, I'm going to be about the world, I'm going to be about making a lot of money. So it's not going to be a perfect journey. And that's why I said at the beginning of the session that Whole Food founder wrote the book Conscious Capitalism. He was scrutinized and judged for some mistakes that happened in the Whole Food business because he talked about conscious capitalism. So the
Okay.
trust factor is a journey that, and we always tell people, when you are talking about trust, it's
Mhm.
not building trust outside, it's building trust inside yourself. Do you trust yourself enough to get into a relationship? Because most of the time the trust is triggered by what?
Yes,
Past experiences. You know,
agree.
every time I speak to an Indian Singaporean, they will say, don't go to India to do business. And then I have my Chinese friends. 不要去中国，中国人会骗你的. I'm Chinese educated, by the way. So it's like, don't
Okay.
go to China. Chinese people will cheat you. The Chinese Singaporeans will say that.
Okay.
So this is a common trend that people have put past experiences into their future, and the trust is always questioned. So
Correct.
this is not, trust is built based on you getting clear of anything that can get in the way of you trusting another person and get into clear agreements. So one of the most important thing I love about conscious capitalism is governance and the boundaries and the clarity you need to set in. Like, it's an alignment. It's no emotions, but there is clarity, there is compassion. You
Correct.
get
I understand. Look, I mean,
no.
the same. Sorry, the same thing I can recollect. Same thing I can recollect for Africa. For example, before a decade plus, if someone was to travel to Africa, when they hear the word Africa, they get scared because so many soft stories have been floating all these years, and people have just believed without knowing any facts and figures. Trust me, to break this and having an ice break, what I did is ACCI took the first delegation to Africa. We took the local entrepreneurs there. We made them see, we made them feel. Today we are so happy to let you all know that they all are doing business in Africa. And not only them, they have also taken other fellow business entrepreneurs with them. Because you have to break that. Unless you see, unless you feel, you're not going to get that trust, right? So I believe, yes, something we should break on the past stories, see for a new future and vision. I guess that's the way. I mean, very well explained. Thank you so much. Okay, how can private capital and government priorities be strategically aligned to accelerate sustainable regional development?
Right. So this is interesting because Singapore, we just had our budget conversation released.
Yeah.
And everybody was like, there's a whole opposition party. We have that stuff going on. Oh, this is not right. The budget should be going this way. It's not getting that way. All kind of conversations. And it's always about the business community that needs to be clear where the government is going. And it's supporting both ways. When the budget came out, the responsible entrepreneurs know that it's about us working with the government. So it's
Okay.
not about sitting down and asking what Gandhiji said, what? Ask
Yeah.
not what the country does for you. Ask yourself, what are you doing for the
You
country?
live for the country. Very true. Very true.
Exactly. So the government is that space. I'm, of course, coming from I'm very grateful for my government. Like, I'm born and brought up Singaporean, as
I
some of
know.
you may have met me, but my parents come from Kanyakumari. So it's a really a blessing for me to see the way that, and always in humble pride, that we say that the way the government has been led, is I show if actually Singapore government as a conscious capitalism example. You can
Okay.
Google Temasek Holdings. That is our state-owned company. And
Okay.
that's how the whole country is run. That's how we invest in our Singapore Airlines, invested into Air India. It's our company, and we are all stakeholders, right? We have shares
Wow.
as as taxpayers. We are all part of the ecosystem. So where is the ownership that we are taking? That is need to be out there, to be very clear about the way that we access capital and the way that we interact. So if you go from a space of how can I collaborate and walk the journey with the government directions,
Hmm.
then it becomes easy for you to mold your business in that direction. Of course, there are certain industries will be like, oh, then my industry is not in the conversation. Like for example, technology, right?
Yes.
Technology is an enabler.
Hmm.
How you use it in different industry matters. So this
Correct.
is where you want to look at your industry and what you are doing. How does that at this moment become relevant with your government or the governments that you want to work with? For example, I give you an example right now. We are working with
Please.
Bangladesh. We're working
Okay.
with some of the big chambers where we went in to give them some free conversations like these. I mean, more of education. And then we found out there's a huge market in the green energy space in Bangladesh.
Of
Do you
course.
know who are some of the top investors into Bangladesh?
Uh-huh. There must be there must be Adanis, I guess, and maybe most of.
India's not very confident right now because of the situation. But you
Correct.
know, anybody who invests into countries like that or developing countries, you need to have holding power.
Yes.
So one of the country that's been investing other than Japan and USA is in Singapore.
Wow.
Right. So we have
Amazing.
been investing in green energy, and I'm like, oh my God, this is the direction my government is taking, and this is where we can create that environment, that direction for companies to come together with us. So we are speaking to local government bodies on how we can facilitate these kind of growth in countries as well.
Sounds amazing. It's very nice to know that you've been still working in Bangladesh. We also have a chapter office in Bangladesh, but due to some political constraints, it is kept on hold as for a moment. But yes, we are very soon expecting it to be fully fledged because the country is again, yes, because inshallah the company is gearing up now and the country will be coming up back to normal very soon. So we all hope and pray that it again flourishes back as it was earlier. One last question I would like to ask. So we all talk about Asia Africa. That's what we all are. I mean, even our name is Asian African Chamber. So we are all about Asia and Africa. If Asia and Africa were to lead the next wave of global economic transformation, which is definitely going to happen, what kind of leadership mindset and collaboration model would be required? What should be the mindset for this?
Okay, first and foremost, I feel like we already started the journey.
Yes.
Right, the journey has already begun, and it's about being at the right place at the right time. It's a tipping point right now for those of us who have been gearing towards some transformation. The most important thing, and because you asked about mindset, Shine Go Global and Go Global Business School is all about the mindset and the heart set, the
Yeah.
kind of clarity that you need to sit in your business, in your life, and the way that you are planning for the next 3 to 5 years. I feel that that is the leadership model that you need to take up. Know where you are going. Don't have it in your mind that I would love to have some business in internationally, or I would love to have some business in Africa. What direction? Do you have the numbers? Do you have that resources? Do you have the network? So these is leaders context and the direction that you need to go as a business owner in this space, especially for Asia and Africa. And most importantly, we need to be ahead of trend, the
Yes.
mindset to be ahead of trend. In our conscious leadership framework, we talk about seven wisdom. One of the wisdom is environmental wisdom. Every time I talk about environmental wisdom, people think, oh, you must be green. Not about that only. That's part of it. But what's
Okay.
most important is environmental wisdom, where you are ahead of time. You know what's happening in your environment. If you are
Correct.
not aware, you are falling behind time and you will lose out your own journey. So if you are not jumping on the bandwagon, right, to move
Yes.
things, so this is where we see the growth is happening. So the world is gearing towards us, be it India and all these African countries, and we have the advantage. I see a lot of Indian friends in the room. I'm sure you would relate to it as well. So it's a time for us to really get clear what we want, and so when we are clear, the law of attraction takes place. And naturally people show up, situations show up. I can tell you, I can sit down here and tell you all that serendipity that can happen to you when you are clear with your vision. The right people will show up and to guide you forward towards that. So as a leader, there's a huge amount of uh, clarity and gung-ho-ness, gung-ho-ness, the resilience and the commitment the business owner need to have in order to
Right.
thrive this market. Because I have to say this as well, not every time is a bed of roses, right? When
Of
we
course.
venture into new countries, when I started coming into India, even though I have family members there, it was not easy for me. I met the wrong people. Okay, at that time it felt like wrong people, but it was the right people for me to move forward. so, so that was that time for me to get that experience and for me to really understand that these people that we are meeting are who we want to meet, and we are
Right.
in the right energy. Today, I had a meeting with one of our mentor. I want to close up by telling you this. It was a very powerful statement, and it is very apt for this question that you asked. If you are building $100 million business, are
Right.
you a person of $100 million values? And how do you grow into it? So if
Perfect.
I repeat that again, if you want to build $100 million business, are you a person of that energy of $100 million? If not, how do you grow into it? So this is something that I want to leave you with, and think about it. And I want to also invite everybody to join us in our business synergy and growth movement. And I know I'm looking forward to AACCI participating in it. We are
I'll be the first one to join, I guess, because today while speaking with you, Doctor, I guess I could recollect so many things which are absolutely aligned. For example, we recently had a session from our managing director herself, Dr. Neetu Singh, and she was talking almost on the same line of having a better, clear, positive manifestation. Because what things you think, how clean you are, creates your environment, and that's how you achieve those things. So just hard working isn't enough. You should be very neat, clean on what exactly you want. I mean, trust me, I think this session was much better compared to the one we had in Thailand, personally, but this is better. I'm learning a lot of things. I had only 15 minutes. Okay, so this time I was fair enough to give you more than double of it. Okay, one last sentence. What shift must business leaders make today if they truly want to build a legacy, wealth, and impact across the borders? What should be it?
first and foremost, ask yourself, are you really doing what you love doing?
Right.
Right? So if you are really doing your business for the value it brings, like what you said, does your
Yes.
business bring the value to the world? And if it is, then you are in for a legacy. Simon Sinek talked about creating the infinite game, a business that just has its life to grow. It keeps growing.
Yes.
There's no end to it. So this is where we want to look at. If you are someone that is, wanting to build a business of legacy, then you must be doing a business that gives a value to the world. And in fact, there is a context. Maybe you can keep in touch with us. We will send you some details about it. There's 6 different industries that is meant for the world eternally, like you cannot do without it, like food and shelter and green energy and entertainment in the good way, right? And also
Yes.
education and real estate. These are all the various elements of business that will never run out.
Of course.
Healthcare, sorry, real estate is shelter, healthcare. So all these
Yes.
things, if you are doing business in these areas, and if you are serving people doing business in this area, like technology for this industry, education for this industry, these are the people that will be, professional services. So these are the industries that you want to be completely aligned to. And then you will know that this is a journey that you will be continuing to grow. You will never be able to give up. We
Um,
talk about exit strategy. Exit doesn't happen when you are in a legacy business. Exit happens when you exit, literally from the world.
Simple.
But the
Yes.
business has an exit, and you will be able to step back and take it a slower pace. But the business will have its own life, and a legacy business is really about creating that long term economic engine that takes care of itself, even if it's M&A or IPO or just business that you wanted to build for your family, right? So this is where I feel it's very important.
Simply amazing, mind blowing. For all the viewers, those who have missed watching us right away, you can always go back to ACCI YouTube channel. You can again watch this recording once it's posted. Once again, I thanks everyone for your time, your patience, especially to you, Doctor. Sister, thank you for all your patience. Very warm again, thank you from the whole ACCI family across the globe. With ladies and gentlemen, we end this session here with a beautiful learning. As I always say, keep watching, keep learning, keep growing. God bless you all. I mean, take care. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.